Hello, welcome. My name is Dagmar Stancova, and this is the Eating with Dagmar show. And when I say eating, you know what? I think it's going to rain. Well, we'll see. If the rain gets too loud, I may have to do this all over again. But when I say eating, I don't just mean food, I mean everything: life, colors, sounds, what you read, what you sleep in, who you talk to. It's all food. We're constantly eating or receiving life around us. So I don't know. I'm choosing food, but I guess it could be anything. So this is going to be a very strange day. I can tell already because I feel like I'm going to continue to make my audience smaller and smaller because I'm going to speak more truthfully and more truthfully, which I know means that there will be a lot less people who will want to listen to what I have to say. I know this is for cooking, uncooking, food, the crows are talking. I can hear them. They're saying, Dagmar, stop being so nice. Just say it. Say it. America is not the America that it used to be. It's just for the record, it is August 6th, 2022. And, my family, we took great risks to come to America. We risked the whole family being separated, my parents being imprisoned, never seeing each other again because we escaped from a communist country. And now I stand here in this rapidly becoming new America where I actually have to be careful what I say, lest YouTube would deem what I say inappropriate. And perhaps that's my clue. Perhaps YouTube may not be the place for me. I'll have to find some other platform maybe. But anyway, so it's just another Saturday morning. And as you probably know, I'm very creative in what I eat and how I eat and my approach to food. It's not rigorous. It's more of a creative process, and it's something that I hope each one of you learns how to enjoy and discover. But in order to discover different ways of eating, you have to try different ways of eating. And I have, but not just for a couple of months, but sometimes for a year, I would do a particular approach to eating. It seems, though, that I always come back to, no matter what is the most vitalizing and life-giving to my actual physiology and to my mental state and to my alertness and all of that, seems to always be raw food. And I'm not talking raw vegetables and fruits, I'm not talking about being a raw vegan, which I had done for quite a long time, and I'm still paying for it. It's not a bad thing, it's just not forever. Once in a while, like sometimes I'm a raw vegan in the morning, and in the afternoon, I'm a raw carnivore. So, but what I found is that eating food in its uncooked state tends to be the most effortless in it and how it digests, and the most keeping my blood sugar and my whole homeostasis is the most enjoyable and life affirming and energy providing, but not not like chocolate energy or caffeine energy, just pure, gentle, endless supply of daily energy and deep sleep. Um, so I'm very light on vegetables. Vegetables are the only vegetables that I actually eat. I once in a while, I'll juice celery. This is only true vegetable. Celery and I think parsley and cilantro are the three true vegetables that I do partake in. But everything else that we call vegetables are actually fruits, like this tomato, which came from my garden. It's grown by me, well, planted by me, grown by nature. And anyway, so this is a fruit. So is avocado. So is cucumber. So is this little part, half a zucchini. Um, so, but mostly what I eat raw and what I think is just the most amazing food is raw eggs, raw butter, raw grass-fed, always grass-fed, um, grass-fed meat or dairy. And there's even finer levels than grass-fed. I've actually discovered recently that a lot of the so-called grass-fed organic beef or organic free-range eggs are actually not as organic as I thought. One of the words that I can't say, it has to do with injections that we force upon our children and our adults too, but we start when they're very young. These same injections are forced upon the little baby cows, and even when they're grown up, and the little baby chicks too. So there's certain components of some of these, I like to call them, to make them sound less, how do I say, less controversial. I'll call these the, what would I call them? A Russian friend of mine said that she calls them socialist acupuncture. But it's not, no insult to acupuncture. It's not acupuncture, but it's, it's the thing, the thing. So these acupuncture treatments are for everything that we eat, and as far as, living things like chickens or cows. And they have certain things in them that are very, how should I call this, graphic. I'll just call it graphic oxide. How's that? If anybody here, my 0.0011% of the people who are on the same page as I am will know what I'm talking about. And this stuff that's inside these acupunctures is very hard to get out of the body once it's in the body. And it is nanotechnology. And so it's really hard to find eggs or beef that did not participate in this nanotechnology. These eggs have not. Look how they're both different too. You wouldn't get this at a normal supermarket. I go out of my way to find a farmer who treats their chickens the same way my grandma did in the old country. Little chicks are born, they grow up, and if they get sick, they die. If they don't, they continue to lay eggs, and at a certain time, winter's coming or whatever, we get hungry, we kill the chicken and we eat the chicken. those kind of farmers are not that popular anymore. So, okay, I was not planning on talking about this. I really wasn't, but here it is. So, I am hungry. It's 2:21 and I haven't had breakfast yet. I've had my special alkalinizing raw apple cider vinegar drink, and that's it. So I'm not like I'm gonna die if I don't eat, but I could nosh on something. So this morning I went out into the yard and I pulled out some of this beautiful parsley that has grown there, and I also have some basil, and I also have some of this purple basil, which I pulled out. And I thank the plant for giving me its, or allowing me to take its parts of it and have it for breakfast. And this tomato too. So what I'm going to make for breakfast today, I was like, what do I want today? And it's summertime. So in the summer, I will eat more fruits. And this is a fruit. If it was winter, I probably will not do any fruits except maybe a lemon or raw apple cider vinegar, which is fermented fruit. So this morning I thought, let's go back to some of my raw vegan days with a little change. When I was a raw vegan, I really became like master of the sauce. Actually, that's going to be the book that I'm writing, which is called It's All in the Sauce. Salty, sweet, sour, fatty. The two flavors that humanity seems to adore put together. And so I learned how to make all kinds of sauces because I was eating so many vegetables, and the only way to make them delicious was to make sauces that would cover them, and then you could pretty much eat anything. So I am going to make like a tomato sauce, and I'm going to, I haven't done this in a really long time, make a little zucchini noodle. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these spiralizer things. They are awesome. I mean, also let me just say that normally I eat really simply, but so this is kind of getting fancy and taking a little more time. But so you put one of these in here like this, and then you cover it, you close it, and then you press down and you turn. Oh wait, I hope I have it turned. Yes, I have it turned. So you make some zucchini pasta, because I have not eaten any grain for how many years? I don't know. At least, what is it now? 2022. I haven't eaten any grains probably for 10 years or something like that. I mean, that doesn't mean that I can't or that I won't. Like if I were able to travel to Europe, if the world wasn't where it is right now, and if I went to Europe, I would eat bread there, because their wheat is not designed to be very high in gluten. But American wheat, oh, that shit is so high in gluten. But a lot of people who go to Europe, suddenly they're like, I can eat this. I don't recommend eating grains. I think they are the forbidden food of the Bible. Not fruit. I think it's grains that are the forbidden food. And look at this. See, we have a nice little, well, it doesn't taste like pasta. Nothing like pasta, but it's just the little spaghetti that's made of zucchini. I'm not doing a good advertisement for it, am I? So I'm going to put this on my very favorite and my only bowl. Oh, actually, no, I have another bowl, but this is the only flat-shaped bowl that I have. This is the other bowl that I have. So we have this ready now for the sauce, and what you're going to see me doing with the sauce, you're going to think like, oh my God, why is she doing that? You don't have to do that. You can just take the tomato straight, cut it up, put it in there, and blend it with the other ingredients. But I do not, I have just kind of, I find that when I don't do lectins, like really high lectins, I'm just so much happier. I have no joint pain for a long time now. A lot of vegetables, things that have seeds in them, which are called the nightshades, right? They're very high in lectins. So, and the lectins are in the skin and in the seeds. So I will de-skin and de-seed this tomato. And it's a lot of in Czech we have the expression piplać, which means that you kind of, what would be the translation? I'll have to look it up on Google Translate. Piplać means that when you find yourself like you're just overdoing things and just really mucking around, doing like, removing this from the meat, and it's like what I do when I was much younger. I would always separate. I would take out the umbilical cord in the eggs. I don't do that anymore. I leave that umbilical cord in there. I think it was some psychological issue I had, but I'm over it now. Thank God. Oh, I've grown so much. So here comes the piplanie, a long process, and because I have plenty of tomatoes in my garden, I can afford to lose some of the tomato. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. So, gosh. So normally I would just peel it, and it takes a while to do that. Like I would soak it in warm water and then peel it. But I'm just literally going to, oh, it's peeling by itself. Wow. Look at that. Well, I'll be. So I'm going to peel this and make sure that all the seeds are gone. And then, wow, this is gonna make a lot of sauce. This is a big ass tomato. Well, I guess I'll have to invite somebody over to eat it with me. Maybe I'll call my sister, who lives about 300 feet from me. It's a family plot. Okay. Oh, this is going way faster than I thought. Huh. Well, I'll be. So, if you want to go through this process, you'll be amazed. And actually, in Italy, where they know that, by the way, you may not know what lectins are, but I'm assuming with Dr. Gundry doing his mega advertising in the whole, every time you turn on some station, he's there with his little advertisement. But lectins are basically plant proteins that plants use to defend themselves. Since they can't run away from the predator, they have to find other ways to defend themselves, and they do this by lectins, which are basically poisons. So like if a little chipmunk is eating too many of certain foods, it will start to have a stomach ache and they'll know not to eat it. So okay, I'm removing the seeds, and see this thing that I'm doing with my hands, that's called piplanie. But also at the same time, I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos, but I'm very passionate about, when you're cooking, give your vegetables a hand job, or your fruits, or whatever it is you're cooking. Get your hands in it. Because you're then kind of imbuing the food with your energy, because there's a lot in our fingertips, are extensions of our heart, right? So I really think it's important to touch our food and maybe even get a little bit of the dirt behind our fingernails into it just to strengthen our immunity, because I believe we are designed to be immune, and all those things that people call diseases are nothing but reactions, not that our immune system is low, it's our reactions to the things we've been putting in our bodies, chemical things, foods that are genetically modified, the things we've been inhaling in our daily environment every time we drive our car, the things we are exposed to from electromagnetic frequencies. Those are the things that are making us sick. But I think that the big psyops is that every time there is anything toxic being put into our environment, whether it's in the form of electricity or microwaves or change, modifying our food to make it resistant to bugs, whatever you want to call it, every time we are exposed to that, we are introduced to some new so-called disease. And if you ever want to look up the history of polio, you'll see what I'm talking about. So my whole idea is that if you keep your terrain, it's not my idea. My God, what am I saying? It's not my idea. I am in agreement with not with the germ theory. I am in agreement with the terrain theory, which talks about not just the terrain of your body, but your terrain where we live. Uh-oh. I hear rain coming down. Well, hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. So I'm almost done. Almost done. The smell of a true tomato is just amazing. Like a real tomato, that has a smell. Like not a tomato that tastes and smells like paper that you see in regular stores. This is a, organic, naturally grown. The only water used to water this tomato is the water that's any second is going to start falling down from the sky. I'm not one of those people who's always watering her stuff. I like to make the plants hardier by seeing how well they can adapt to less water. So the terrain theory, in my opinion, gosh, I had no intention of talking about this, but I just can't help myself. In my opinion, the terrain theory is the big elephant, the pink elephant in the room. Okay, now I'm going to pour this amazing sauce with the seeds in it. Look at this. Oh my God, it just smells like pure tomato. And I'm going to take a sieve and I'm going to pour it in there. Just some of it, because actually the rest I think I'll drink straight. But what was I saying? The terrain theory is the pink elephant in the room, because nobody is, everybody's still in the germ theory, which is so outdated. Even Pasteur himself on his deathbed said it was bullshit. It's not germs that cause disease. It's not parasites that cause disease. And no virus has ever been isolated, ever. Challenge me if you want. I'll take it. It's germs, bacteria, parasites, fungus. They only show up when there is dead tissue. So in other words, you've been eating crap You got lots of dead tissue in you. You're starving your own cells. You have no oxygen. There's dead cells. So you have, we have everything is in us already. That's the terrain theory. Uh, Parasites, fungus, bacteria, they're all in us in small proportions, the so-called bad ones, right? But if you have dead tissue in you, that bad bacteria will start to multiply to eat that tissue as a favor to you. So it's like the classic example is if you see a dead deer on the road and it's got crows eating it, you're going to say that the crows killed it? No, the crows showed up because the deer was dead. It's the same thing. When you see a dead animal with maggots in it, the maggots didn't kill it. The maggots showed up after the creature died. We are designed to be decomposed. It's one of those things that when we die, or if we're dying while we're still alive, and there's tissues in us that are dying while we're still alive, we will have more fungus, candida, more bacteria that will come in and try to eat the dead matter and basically heal us. In Canada and in other countries, they're using parasites, fungus, bacteria to help heal people from cancer. But I don't want to go too far into that because, I don't know, somebody might get really mad. A little piece, I don't recommend doing garlic. I don't think it's is a great a thing as everybody makes it out to be. Oh, it is starting to rain. Garlic is actually can go through the blood-brain barrier, which is why back in the day when pilots used to fly, before they could do everything on automatic, they were not allowed to eat Italian food before flying because it would slow down their reflexes by about 100 times. So I rarely do garlic, but today I was feeling like just a real tiny half a garlic. This much is going to go in there just as a, I don't know, a little touch of something special. So basically, garlic opens up the blood-brain barrier. Like if you put garlic on your feet, you will, in a while, you'll taste it in your mouth. It goes through your body like that, like DMSO. So it really does something similar to what the cell phone does. Like when you hold the cell phone next to your ear, I think if you hold it there for 2 minutes, it keeps the blood-brain barrier open for about an hour. And that's some crazy shit. Because the last thing you want is your blood-brain barrier open, which it's supposed to be closed. It's preventing all kinds of heavy metals from going in there or whatever else. It's supposed to be good thing, it's a good thing to have that barrier there. But when you're on the cell phone all the time, or when you're eating tons of garlic or onions, you're opening that, and that's how you become stupid. Or all this Alzheimer's stuff, right? That has to do with the blood-brain barrier being opened up way too much. So look at this beautiful thing we have so far. And what else am I going to do now? Oh, if you do salt, please let it be the most holiest of holy salt. Like I use the fleur de sel, which is the finest salt that's on the top of the seawater, and it comes in only certain times of year, and you just harvest it right off. So it should be sea salt. The fleur de sel or Celtic salt, which is much cheaper but isn't as amazing as this. It's got all the minerals you need in it. As a matter of fact, if you're a prepper, I like to call myself, I like to do, I'm a celebratory prepper, not a doomsday prepper, but I have been for quite a long time. I like to have, I like to feel that I can be fine no matter what kind of shit is hitting the fan. So Celtic salt, not Himalayan salt. Please don't do that. There's a lot of reasons why you don't want to have Himalayan salt, but it's a lot of hype, and it has too much iron, And if you're an elderly woman like I am, or a man, you shouldn't be eating too much iron, because if you're not menstruating anymore, you can't release it. And if you're a man, well, what you gonna do with that iron if you have too much of it? Okay, so now we have this, and now I'm going to put the eggs in it. And I've never ever in my life gotten salmonella from raw eggs, and I've been doing them for 22 years or something. What you have to understand, that people who get salmonella from eggs, first of all, they're probably not free range, and they probably got it in a restaurant, or they cook their own eggs, but they put so many spices in them that they didn't cook them all the way, that they couldn't taste the fact that the egg was bad. So when you do raw eggs, I always do one egg separately. So here's one egg. I smell it. Smells fine. Put that in there. Also smells fine. Putting that in there. So 2 raw eggs with all those vegetables. It's gonna be delicious. Right. So what I was saying is that if a raw egg is diseased, you'll smell it. But if you cook it, you won't be able to smell that it's diseased, because it'll have spices on it and salt, so it'll be fine. But when you're eating it raw, you'd immediately know. Like, I've thrown away many eggs, even though this place where I get the eggs now, they're amazing. And I have them ship it to me from Pennsylvania. But it's worth it. It's really worth it if you're going to eat them raw. So now I have all my ingredients in the blender, and I'm going to blend for a second, and it's going to be loud. Sorry. Oh, I forgot one thing. You know what? For when you're doing a tomato flavored thing, it's really great to take some beet just to make it look pretty. It adds a little redness, because right now, see, you get this kind of not exactly exciting color. So if you want to have a little more of that red feeling to it, put in a beet. And what else? I think that's it. And it also gives it sweetness. So you have in the sauce, you have sour from the tomato, you have sweet. The tomato has some sweetness in it, and you have the beet also adds sweetness. I added the salt, and the fatty part is the eggs. But you can always add more fat, whatever. You can put olive oil, you can make homemade mayonnaise. Let me first see what I created before I say if it's any good. It's pretty good. I mean, it's like a Italian, almost like a little pizza sauce. And I guess this isn't really going to be like, see how liquidy it is. Let's just say I created a pasta pizza soup. And just to add, so the eggs are the protein and the fat. I mean, those eggs have so many B vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins, minerals, fat-soluble minerals. And they're just nourishing. Raw eggs are so life-giving. I can't say enough good things about them. I hate to wash my hand because, There's people in the world who are hungry, and I just don't feel right leaving any food. So now, if you really want to just, if you're a man and if you know you're going to have a workout today, then you could add, I just made some fresh raw cottage cheese yesterday. See? You can put a dollop of that on top of it, and I guess you could say it's kind of like sour cream or something. And there's your breakfast. Well, it's, you know, this one didn't come out looking really beautiful. But that's what happens. Sometimes things look beautiful. Sometimes they just look like a bowl of mush. But it is delicious. The taste is incredible. And the vitality that you feel eating this, you know, the life-giving vitality that comes from this is undeniable. What can I say? So with a little bit of this fake pasta, let me just see what I've created. Oh my God. It's life. So, all right. Oh, 36 minutes. That seems to be my normal time. So, yeah, please leave comments or ask questions, or, you know, take it easy. You know, don't be too hard on me. Yeah, I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day, and that maybe you got inspired to create your own meals and your own way of eating, and to know that you don't have to do the same thing every day. You can keep changing. There's many ways to nourish ourselves, but just if you stick to the living raw foods, living fats, living proteins, and living fruits, and occasionally vegetables. All right, take care. Bye.